It's so nice to see everyone again virtually. You're on a music and chat four-part mini-series special called Shueh-li the Shang. It's a good morning from me to you from the Shangri-La Hotel in Singapore, affectionately known as the Shang, where I'll be spending my 2-week quarantine as mandated by the Singapore government. So you must be curious as to how I landed in this exquisite facility. Well, the facilities are allotted at random, and I happen to be lucky, I suppose. Um, the way the quarantine works is, as you know, you stay in your room for the entire 14 days with no interaction whatsoever with any human being, including housekeeping, which means you do your own dishes. They do supply you with utensils, forks, or in some countries they call them silverware, a fork, a knife, a spoon, a couple of teaspoons to make your beverage with, and some spot cleaning. So if you're the untidy kind of person, you'll be cleaning daily. But if you're neat and tidy person such as I am, you do less spot cleaning. You make your own bed and all that kind of stuff because you're excluded from human interaction. Where are my friends? Where's everybody? I see the virtual bodies bopping about, but I'm yet to see hellos. Oh, hi, Mike Flavin, my good buddy. Mike Flavin, but I call him Mike Flavin, and Mike Flavin doesn't mind. Eventually, I'll end up having nicknames for all my friends and my favorite viewers. I just know it. Who else is out there looking? Looking. Where is Gary? Gary Mayulo. Ah. Hi, Gary. Gary has 2 nicknames now, because at one time I sent him a message and I meant to type Gary, but the letter Y got omitted, and it ended up being Ga. So we both thought maybe I was trying to type Garth. Garth is a pretty good name too. Garth and Gary kind of sound like opposites of the spectrum. You know, Garth has a very warrior type sounding kind of intention to the name, whereas Gary kind of like your buddy. I also want to say hello, Kevin. I believe Kevin's last name is Pfeiffer. My memory is not too good, but forgive me if I got it wrong. Hi, Kevin. Good to see you too. Anyone else that looking? I miss you guys. It's only been 2 weeks since my last stream, but already I feel like something is missing each each Saturday. Okay, so I want to share some pickies with you. Of where I am. As you can see, my backdrop is the actual hotel room, which is very luxurious. Lucky me. I'm in downtown Singapore, and here is a map I captured from Google Maps, which kind of shows you where the hotel is situated. And Singapore is a tiny island, but the diamond tip of it, I suppose, is the south end, and you see Shangri-La Hotel is in the middle in downtown Singapore. And my orientation is southwest-ish, kind of like your 8 o'clock. If you see it like the face of a clock, I'm looking out at the 8 o'clock angle. Kevin wanted to know, is it like tomorrow already? Oops. Kevin. There you are. Yeah, it's tomorrow already. It's 8:85 a.m. Friday morning. which is still if you're on the East Coast, it's 8:35 p.m. Thursday night. Okay, I got more pictures. Where are we? Here is a picture that I downloaded from their website of an aerial view of the hotel. I suppose you could say that. I haven't seen the aerial view in real life yet because I've not been outside the hotel. And strange as it might be, I've lived here for many, many years, but I've never, I don't think, had cause to visit the Shangri-La in downtown Singapore. Isn't that awful? um, I also took a picture of where I am doing this stream at the beautiful desk. On day one, it was still, dawn. I guess the sun was still rising. And with jet lag and all, I couldn't fall asleep. So I took a picture so that you can see where I'm sitting for my mini series. I did also take with my trusty iPhone, which is usually cam 2, or my theremin cam, but it's not being used for this miniseries. I took a short video of the view from my desk/window, and I'll play it for you now. There's no sound, of course. Yeah, it was about to rain that afternoon, as you can see from the clouds. But it's been raining every day since I've been here, such as tropical weather, I guess you could say. And what are we now? Yeah, it's about to get fairly warm because we're getting into the middle of the year, just like you would in the northern hemisphere, where your middle of the year is the hottest time, or aka summertime. All right. I'm so happy to see all of you, my friends. And my intent for this mini series is that for each day of these 4 days, I shall look at one track from each of my 4 albums. So day 1 will be album 1, day 2 will be album 2, and so on and so forth. And I shall tackle questions about my work. I won't tackle questions about the quarantine, the politics, or sensitive issues because we don't want to get ourselves in trouble. Okay, thank you. Okay, Kevin has a funny comment. They call you the rain bringer. Who's you? Okay, let's get on with the stream then. For at 9:30 a.m. ish Singapore time, breakfast lands at my door. Yes, they wrap a care package, which is food. It depends on what you like for breakfast. I like your traditional eggs and toast, but you can't always get what you want. So you have to eat what they give you. But I have to say, lunch and dinner meals are pretty scrumptious, and I've been enjoying the local menu a lot, So that's been good, not having to make your own meals. So yeah, 9:30-ish, they will serve my breakfast. So I will bid you adieu at that point, approximately, because I'll be starving by then. So let's pack in as much as we can before then, shall we? Again, please say hi in the live chat right there. And let us know where you're tuning in from. And don't be backward and coming forward. You will notice that I've tried to shine as much light on my being as I can. And if it starts getting brighter, it's because the day is moving on. along with the sun. Okay, so let's talk about my first album. But first, let me bring up um, my Bandcamp site from which I will discuss my music. You can find more details if you want from Shelley.com, my YouTube channel, and my SoundCloud channel, and Facebook, etc., etc. But I shall tackle the music from these 4 days from my Bandcamp site. Okay, so a little backstory. Shelley's Zenovibes, my first album, which is this one. The cover looks like that. I think the back cover looks like... yeah, here we go. The back cover looks like this. So I've been writing for several years as director of Electric Muse, to include a couple of electronic operas and live theater as well. And Electric Muse put together, designed and created multimedia shows. So on many occasions I'd be asked for my music. Like, can I buy your music, please? And I'd be fairly stunned, lost for words. You want to buy my music? Who would want to buy my music? So I never considered actually putting out albums, like normal people do. So I got on this case immediately, and the first album was born, Shelley Zenovibes. I designed the cover and all, came up with the logo and everything, and also the term Zenovibes. I was looking for a way to describe my sound and how I worked. And as a good marketeer, I found a portmanteau for the words Zeno or Zeno and vibes, foreign expressions. I remember having an interview somewhere, and the interviewer asked me, is it Zenovibes or Zenovibes? And I said, well, whichever you feel comfortable saying. And his reply was, you don't even know how to pronounce your own band name or something like that. And I thought, why should it be just one, It depends on which part of the world you come from. You pronounce what you see a little differently, so long as the meaning of it is understood. So it's fine. Xenovibes or Xenovibes, it's your choice. So anyway, I wanted Xenovibes to represent my sound, the way I work, my ethnic background, my training in classical and electronic music. So that's why foreign expressions. I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, for the next 3 albums, I would write under the Zenovibes moniker. And Zenovibes eventually became known as a band and as a show. So without further yapping, I want to leave space for chatting. Let me play my chosen piece for today. If there is time, I could play another one, I suppose. When I say play, I mean playing it back from my Bandcamp store, because as you know, I don't have my equipment set up here. So here you go. Aegri Somnia is the track I chose. And Aegri Somnia is Latin for a sick man's dream, Somnia. Somnia, like insomnia. And it was 2003 when I started putting Shelley's Xenovibes, the album, together, when I had a personal dispute over cultural traditions. There was one particular one, but it got me quite upset. So I wrote about it, and I used several platitudes in the lyrics. If you hear more salt than rice, this saying is usually uttered by an elder in the community to a younger person and serves to remind them that the elders are wiser as they have consumed more salt than you have consumed rice in your lifetime, which means their advice stands. No arguments. If you're curious about more about the song, of course, as I said, the Bandcamp page does kind of delve into it in summary and along with the lyrics, as you can see here. I won't talk much more except play the track. While I play the track, I will display the lyrics so you can see it and watch out for the phrase more salt than rice. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, another one bites. Reflections unspoken with question marks shadow my mind. It's not easy to accept no when all roads point to go.
Wednesday, 9:24 a.m.
Hello, Shueh-li, Tim here. Hope things are going all right for you. I might send you an email or something this week. All right. Sorry I missed you. Bye.
Philistines are sages, more salt than rice. Disguise. Left to my own device, I'd shout goodbye. Please just give me an inkling why all roads point to go. Life is an Aegri Somnia. Test to test, things must pass. Regret what I left behind. Oh no, no, no. Please dilute mine. Waste emotions. No, no, no. Oh no, 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 no. He let me, they let each other. She wanted to go. One chapter ends and another one sold. It's not easy to accept no when all roads pointed to go. Life is an Aegri Somnia. Test to test, things must pass. Regret what I left behind. Oh no, no, no. Please dilute mine. Waste emotions. No, no, no. Oh no, 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 no. Test to test, things must pass. Regret what I left behind. Oh no, no, no. Please dilute mine. Waste emotions. No, no, no. Oh no, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, another one bites. Reflections unspoken with question marks shadow my mind. It's not easy to accept no when all roads point to go.
Wednesday, 10:11 a.m.
Life is an Aegri Somnia. So that's Aegri Somnia. The Chinese guqing features quite heavily in this song. You can see the instrument is the one that's strapped on my back in the CD cover. It's the guqing is a 7-string zither that has a 3,000-year-old history. That's right. It is not the guzheng as most people think it is, because they're more familiar with the guzheng. The guzheng is an instrument of the Chinese ensemble or orchestra, whereas the guqing, which is the one I play or had been playing until recently, is a personal instruction for personal empowerment and meditation type instrument, and is wild. If you can find guqing music by real musicians, you would go wild over it. It's just the things that come out of it. There are no frets, as you can see. It's just one solid body and the strings just attach over it. There are no frets at all. It's wild. And the sounds you get out of it, especially with all the bendy sounds and all, because there are no frets. But I didn't do that for this song. I did pluck, and I used it as a percussion instrument. You know, you tap the body and that kind of thing. I also did snaps and claps, I believe, because I wanted to construct this raw. I wanted that punk rock style of sound that I know I don't have a punk rock voice, but I knew that I wanted something that didn't sound too sophisticated, whatever that might be. And in my mind, I had an idea what that would be, what kind of edge it would have, if you know what I'm saying. With regards to the vocals, I did what they call this Sprachstimme style of non-sung singing, especially in the verses. You know, you kind of half talk and half sing. And the half singing part has some pitch to it, but it is not necessarily recognizable as a tone in the scale, or a note in this, a pitch note in the scale, if you know what I'm saying. So I wanted that style of singing to complement this edginess of the song. It's one of my favorite songs still, because it embodied so much of the emotional trauma that I was going through with regards to um, staying with or disputing this cultural tradition. And also, it was a chance to do something quite different to what I normally do, depending on what you think normal is. I tend not to do normal. I don't have a particular style. Most people ask me, what do you write in? I write in music. I think Rory Kaplan mentioned that as well, that he likes music. He's not locked in any particular genre. He just does music, and I'm pretty much like that. I do music, and music is this, that, and everything. Don't you agree? So, any questions? Any questions? Thanks, Gary Mayulo. Or Garth. I think we found a couple of nicknames for you now, Gary. Thank you. Yes, I wanted it to be powerful, even though I have a timid voice. You know, Mike Flavin, thanks. Mike Flavin, I don't think of it as punk, but I definitely hear what you were doing. I guess when I think punk, I'm thinking of attitude. You know, kind of you want to disregard convention in a strange kind of way. I'm not the kind of person who fights convention. I try to understand why every culture has its convention, um, and I accommodate the convention. Um, but in my own way, I was trying to disregard and antagonize that convention in the song. So I felt that kind of punk rock was the attitude. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got it, Mike. Yeah, that was kind of the intent in the song anyway. I wanted to voice my dispute. Um, Kevin had a question. What was your most initial idea of the song? My most initial idea was those parts that I highlighted. I wanted to feature the guqing, and because I'm not a string player in that I don't play guitar, and you get punk rock is much associated with guitars and drums and kind of those the richness of that timbre and the way the instruments are played. When I say played, I mean strummed and not hit, if you know what I'm saying, strummed or pluck, and the tonal qualities that you get from that. So I knew the guqing was going in, but I also wanted to build the percussion. I wanted it's sparse-ish. So the next line would be the percussion. I think Gary asked the drums program. Yes and no. uh, many years ago, when I was still at university, some friends of mine put together a demo as part of our project, right? Project demos, and we needed some hi-hats to go on this demo, and my friend, I believe his name, it was Jack, I think it was Jack who did this. He said, oh, I see a hi-hat in the recording studio area, not the control room area. So we said, well, yeah, okay, let's put that in, put it in the song. And but we didn't have any drumsticks, but we had pencils, and this one has a Shangri-La logo on it. Thanks, Shangri-La. So we had pencils. So he said, I'll use the pencils. And the sound that came out of that was this kind of dull, rackety result. You know what I mean? It wasn't clean and crisp. It was dull and kind of, I don't think of another word, but it was dull. And I thought, ooh, that was really good. It worked really well. So I programmed the hi-hats to have that same type of what I remembered it to have, this dull kind of clangy, clangy kind of unsophisticated. Maybe that's the theme that runs through it. It's unsophisticated in a way, this edge. Uh, so it was basically snare and hi hats for that, with that programming for that reason. Kevin, to continue with the question, what was your most initial idea? So that was that one, and I really wanted the guqing to participate in the creating the percussion bed along with the hand percussion, because I wanted to try something entirely different where it was, there was no messing about with any technology, so to speak, or any instruments. This was a heartfelt issue, and let's just play it kind of like you would if you were to just rap all of a sudden and do body percussion. It comes from your immediate feeling, your immediate, how would you say, need to release, I suppose, how you feel. So I wanted that as well. In terms of the voice, I knew that if I sang it, it would be sweet because I don't have a rocker's voice. So, but I understand the use of Schreckstima because, you know, I have, I've been a classically trained musician at university, at the conservatory and conservatorium, they call it in Australia. So I knew I wanted to speak, sing. So I did that. I hope that answers your question, Kevin. Gary says, I'm going to bring down the comments here so that we can see them clearly. The half-spoken vocal has so much emotion. Oh, thanks, Gary. Yeah, it's in a funny way when you speak, or the way I see it, when you speak versus when you sing. When you sing, you exercise a different way of phrasing the words along with the music, isn't it? When you speak, you can kind of spit, which you can't really when you sing, because it would mess up the pitch if you think about it. So I thought Shrakshtima would be great because I could kind of spit it. Okay, Mike Flavin says, I once recorded a demo where I hit shampoo bottles with Q-tips for drums. Yeah, I can imagine that. That would have been pretty cool. Q-tip, yeah. Yeah, the things, really, when you think about it, playing percussion is such a primitive, next to the voice, is such a primitive exercise. And I don't use the word primitive in a derogatory way. I'm saying it's very much the most immediate form of expression that you can think of, besides, you know, yelling and yelling or speaking, right? You hit something. So you speak and you hit something. Oh, and Gary says, I once used a finger snap with tape echo. Yeah, the things you can do, really. You know, using echo again was such a popular method of enhancing the sound. If you think of the 60s and 70s, the voice was put through so much echo, it's not funny. Kevin's question, was your bathroom your recording studio? No. Oh, Mike. Mike, was your bathroom your recording studio? Mike says, yep. And Mike Flavin goes, percussion is primal. It's the original non-verbal communication. Precisely. That's what I was trying to say. Oh dear, Kevin. Yelling and hitting things reminds me of my old band. I mean, getting them to get the song right in rehearsal. That's so funny. Okay, Mike replies to Kevin. So, any more questions about Aegri Somnia? Again, I believe from the first, it's really hard to pick your favorites from your albums, isn't it? But Aegri Somnia was definitely one of my most interesting challenges I gave myself. which is not to say they are not all interesting challenges, but I don't often equate my style, particularly when it comes to singing, to punk rock or something similar to the attitude of punk rock. So I thought, if this works. And throughout the 4 days of this mini series, I will pick songs that stretch me and stretch me successfully to share with you. Kevin, did you use the guqing more extensively on the rest of the album? Yes and no. I tend to use it more as an accompaniment than a solo instrument. For the reason being that I had to battle with whether I would feature the theremin or the guqing in that when I explain myself or I promote myself, I don't want to confuse people even more. As it is, the theremin is an instrument that is difficult to explain, and I still find it difficult to explain, particularly when you're trying to set up for a show or even promote it. People just assume that it's going to create stupid sci-fi sounds. I'm sorry, it's not stupid. I love sci-fi, but you know I'm saying that they would create all it can do is go woo. I guess that's what I'm trying to imply. And then to try and explain the guqing. Again, the guqing is not a guitar. It's not a zither as we know. It's not a guzheng. It's not a koto. It's not any of those. It's not a steel string guitar. It creates sounds quite different on its own. How do you then explain that as well? By the time you finish explaining the theremin, you have lost the person. So I thought, and also, secondly, I had to decide how much time I wanted to devote to which instrument. So I thought, all right, I want to devote my time to the theremin and be a master of it. So the guqing had to take second place. So the guqing never does take a primary role as a solo instrument, so to speak, but it does definitely take a primary role in creating the character of the song that it's in. I hope that answers your question, Kevin. Yeah, I bet he could as well. The guqing, of course, has no sound hole. Sorry, it is a solid block of wood, basically. So it does not have a cavernous tone. Um, so it has an. That's why it's for personal development and meditation, and the instrument of the Confucius scholar, because it requires you to really get close and personal with it. Which is also why it's not necessarily found in an orchestra or played with an orchestra. It's usually played traditionally solo. Mike Flevin's question, was the song recorded quickly? Yeah, I'm quite good with getting my stuff done quickly as the ideas flow. I really like a conducive environment, and once I have that, because you know the ideas come from my imagination, and my imagination quickly ties up with what techniques that I see is fit to use. Do you know what I'm saying? I work with the technology and the creativity simultaneously, and I put them together. So and that allows me to experiment and decide what befits the idea. So a lot of post-production on that song. It depends on what you mean by post-production. So yeah. Yeah, you know, slight reverb in the mix down. Oh, I guess I did use a delay on the Guting and fuzz. I can't remember if I did that in post pro or whether I did put it through some pedals. There have been times I would use post pro and other times I would put them through, you know, effects pedals or effects units. It depends on what equipment I have at that time. Okay, so I have time to do, if you would like to look at another song, we can do that. Unless you have more questions about Aegri Somnia. So this is back to Shelley's Zenovibes, the album. Those who have heard and bought my albums already, why don't you pick which song we could look at? I'm torn. I don't know which one. They're all quite different. Recalcitrance? Okay. Let's play Recalcitrance for you then. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Kevin. Me too. I love the theremin on this. I'll explain in a second. Mike Flavin. So you might be wondering how I came up and why I came up with this track. I had written, as I said earlier, 2 electronic operas prior to putting my first album together. So I wanted, since there are people asking to buy my music, I wanted to revision some of those works that I had done for my electronic operas and several other projects into proper tracks, I suppose. And Recalcitrance came from, I can't remember if it's the first or second electronic opera, but the premise of the first and second electronic opera is the story of a scientist, his daughter, and his robot or android, I suppose, who was built or that was built to compose music. It's as simple as that. But in the robot world, because this was set in the future, in the robot world, this android whose name is Metal, don't ask me why, and his brother, built by the same scientist father whose name is Tyrone. Don't ask me why I came up with those names. Tyrone is second generation, right? So it's supposedly more sophisticated. They have a disagreement amongst the brothers. Tyrone is saying, "No, we want to springboard away from the main musician community because we are the new sound." And Metal, his brother, the original composing android, says, "But you don't understand," something like that. So I'm just giving you a summary. We all come from the same, however many notes and whatever, it's all from music, right? The source is the same. How you put it together is how you make it yours. It's we're not old fashioned and you're the new sound. We're all the same. We cut from the same cloth. We just cut from different parts of the cloth and use differently. So that's my summary. So Recalcitrance was a piece that I composed that in a way uh, was a marker in the electronic opera where to announce when this took place. A recalcitrant is a rebel. If you know, if you're familiar with the word, and Tyrone was definitely a recalcitrant. But I wanted to write a piece in somewhat of a trance type atmosphere, so it has a danceable groove to it, as Mike Flavin was saying. So I named it Recalcitrance. Get it? And as part of Zenovibes, the foreign expressions thing, I really want to continue to bring together East West in whatever way that the populace was familiar with. And so the intro for this was the chanting of the Gregorian version and the Buddhist version, the two chants or chants. So I managed to record, field recording. So you go out in the real world with a portable tape recorder or whatever you have, and I recorded the Buddhist chants. The Gregorian chants I created myself. I sang as you would, and I put them together at the intro. Let me just play the intro for you again quickly. That's my voice and the Buddhist chants, right? And so I put together the rhythm, the beat, so to speak, having an idea what I wanted the to create as a trance piece or trance piece. I played everything as you can see, including the bass line and all that. No biggie. It's something that I've been doing for years and years. It's not a special skill. It's just something that I know how to do. And the theremin, I really wanted it to wail. I wanted it to wail. So I put it through fuzz and delay. I think fuzz and delay could be the two most common effects that I use on the theremin. I guess it gives it that strength. It has a characteristic that wants to pull you into it. Kind of like the way you would put fuzz and delay on a guitar, and when you play it, it has a different power. It's got a different superpower to when you just play it without any effects. So when it comes to that kind of thing, for the theremin, you have to be very careful about your phrasing. Your phrasing could make or break the power. Just like any other instrument, if you don't play it in a way whereby when you put effects on it, it sounds cool, it just sounds like you're trying to cover up a mistake. So I have questions here. Yeah, Music from Another Land is the title song from my second album. And again, the idea of Zenovibes is threefold to represent my sound, the way I write, the way what I enjoy doing under the umbrella of music. Also, I wanted to embrace all musics and people who make music. I am not obedient to only one music, if you know what I'm saying. So you would see that common thread runs throughout my albums. An attempt to bring people together, and I know this has been done to death before by many people, but yeah, I think it's fine to stand in line and to hold hands with the many people who have done this before. It's called history, and it to continue historical intent, especially the good intent. Num, 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 num. Mike Flavin says the trumpet sound accents are interesting. Yes, I wanted that kind of the brass stabs, but not brass stabs per se. I can't remember why exactly I picked that sound, but I did put that through either arpeggiator, or I think it was an arpeggiator, or note repeater or something like that. It wasn't a delay, it was actually a device. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't an effect, it was a device. So I think it was a note repeater. Gary says, I like how the theremin sounds like a growl at the low frequencies. That is thanks to the ether wave. The ether wave in its low register or registers has that growl. In fact, on many occasions when I've set it up on stage and the engineer or an engineer or stage tech or someone would walk by, or I would, and it go brrr, and it would kind of stun everybody a bit, because when you think of the theremin, again you think of those more higher frequency sounds associated with sci-fi movies. But the ether wave especially has that growl, which is what I like, which is one reason why I continue to use this one, the ether wave. I have an E-Pro, but furthermore, the ether wave is more compact, and I can travel with it. It can fit in my carry-on luggage. Oh, thanks, Gary. The variety of styles is a big part of what I love about your music, your albums. I appreciate that a lot. I try my best. I'm a lover of all kinds of music, so don't be surprised. I love playing live most of all. So there you go. Gary says Zappa and Rundgren, same thing. I agree. I do love them both. We have a new viewer, Polycon. Did I say it right? Hello from Russia. The name looks familiar. Are we Facebook friends? Oh, did you subscribe to my YouTube channel? Anyway, hi. Wonderful. So nice to see you. Oh, Russia. We got USA, Russia, Singapore. I see other people actually. I can see the count of viewers that are watching the stream, and some of you have not owned up. Come say hello and tell us where you're tuning in from. You can give us your real name if you like or not, but we are friends here. Tell us something about yourself too. Any more questions about Recalcitrance? You guys have been so great. I feel like I really should play back another track. I know it's meant to be short and sweet, but... Oh yeah, I remember now, Polycon. Yes, you did. That was a great interview, wasn't it? With Zenovibes. He's such a great guy, so alert, so articulate. And we of course know he's very knowledgeable, but articulate and a wicked sense of humor. I really like that. Peter Zenovia, hi, if you're tuning in, I hope you're well. Kevin had a question. Ever run into trouble with airport security when you're carrying a theremin or an ether wave? Thankfully, no. They do rummage through my bags if it's checked in, and when it's checked in, I do bundle it up very carefully, tightly, and compactly, I make sure I put a printout of maybe a review of my work with my pictures so that it can verify that all these electronics are actually innocuous and musical instruments. But yeah, I've had, I think in one country, I can't remember which one it was. I had to try and explain in little bits of English what it was. And I so happened to have my tin whistle in my carry-on as well. So I yanked it out from the bag and I said, musical instrument, musical instrument. That was bad. I was so nervous. Gary, who's bopping about? Yeah, I'm talking about the viewers. There are more than the 4 of you watching. I can see the numbers. Since you guys have been so great, and I love your questions, it allows me to explain what I do, which is nice. It's, often not possible or plausible to explain what one does, especially if most of the time people see me as just a theremin player in a performance that it needs to be explained that I do all the other things and behind the scenes and engineer. I engineer, I synthesize, write, I do it all. Basically, that's been my job for yonks. If I were an ever ready battery, like in the commercial, I have been running for too long. I need a vacation. Let's answer Polycon's question first. Yes, no. Yes, Thierry Frankel, I believe, is the guy in France who mods the lower register. No, I decided to leave it in its original form. I think sometimes I'm a recalcitrant at the best of times. This, except for Bob Moog inverting my volume antenna, nothing else has been touched, altered for playing. I decided that I would challenge myself to learn the most difficult instrument to learn how to play and play it as is, and not make it any easier for me. I don't know why. Sometimes I think I'm a pain in my own neck. Make life difficult for myself. Well, after all, I chose the theremin and the guqin. The guqin is also known as a very difficult instrument to master. Who knows? Yeah, so that's an answer to your question. Did we pick? Did we pick? We picked a third song. Was it it? Okay, Mike Flavin and Gary picked Isn't It Strange? Okay, let's do that. Isn't It Strange was written... Oh, I'll play it first and then I'll give you the backstory. So here's Isn't It Strange? And I'll also display the lyrics so you can see it. Isn't it strange how we gravitated to each other like opposite poles, yet so alike? Isn't it So it looks like I have questions already as I was playing that. Let's see. Kevin says, "Oh, these tracks would be great for a third Blade Runner movie." That's funny. I did see the second one. Yeah. Thanks. That would be awesome. That would be beyond awesome. I wonder how we can make that happen. And Kevin also says a more nightmare retro future chill. Oh, nighttime. I thought he wrote nightmare. Nighttime retro future chill fantasy. Yeah, whispered vocals are incredibly powerful. Yeah, the subject was interesting to begin with. I wanted to write about a meeting of souls, and how the experience is entirely new, and from the perspective of the protagonist or the person who's telling the story, that it is so new they're afraid to talk about it. So, but they want to share it, like sing it from the mountain kind of thing. So they whisper it because it's kind of like hush hush, it's a secret, but they wanna share it, so they're whispering it. Now whispering, recording a whisper is tougher than you can imagine. Just like Sprachstimme in Aegri Somnia, which is another style of articulating a spoken, sung phrase. Whispering also has that obstacle. The obstacle being that your consonants must be even more jarring to hear it. For example, instead of singing, it's singing, if you know what I'm saying. Also, you gotta have a huge glass of water ready next to you, because whispering with projection dries the throat very quickly, because it's air, right? You're just pumping air. But I like Kevin's. Yeah, I did feel that the whispered vocals were powerful, as Gary mentioned, because it is different. The power lies in that it is telling a secret. That was my intent. But how do you write a song that is predominantly whispered? So, Gary also says, amazing how sometimes your voice is so much like Kate Bush's. Oh, thanks. That is a great compliment, because I love Kate Bush. And sometimes not at all. Well, Gary, you are very observant. I have mentioned this on a few occasions to people, that my voice is my instrument. I don't intend for it to sound like anybody, but being compared to Kate Bush is of course awesome. But I treat like an instrument, in that if it were a piano, and I foresee and imagine something that I want to create, I go out and do it. So that's what I do with the voice, particularly in the first 3 albums. When we get to the 4th album, I'll explain why I took a different stance on that one as well. Again, everything is ever evolving, so that's my whole plan. Development can go in any direction, right? Mike Flavin, it becomes a very different track once the bass and drums start, more melodic where the first half was spoken. Oh, the verses are spoken, including the riff. Isn't where I think I say, isn't it strange? The riff, so to speak, or the recurring phrase, spoken phrase, but the other like backing vocals, they are sung. But you will notice that the verses, the story itself is spoken, and yes, the eventual song when it comes in is melodic, because it's meant to be like a chill piece. You know, it has the chill. I can't think of another way to describe it. It's meant to have this chill factor. Hmm. Yeah. So, any more questions? I was hoping that the others watching would come in and say hi in the live chat. It'd be nice to see and know everybody's names and be able to thank everybody. Yeah, I agree. I don't consider myself a singer, so to speak, in that I don't have an ambition to be known as a singer, if you know what I'm saying. My ambition is really to be known as a composer and a performer of the instruments that I perform. And I love composing as well as I love performing, I must say, because I'm a trained, performer, so to speak. But if I could collaborate and compose for like a film or something, that would be a dream come true. Very much. It's really hard to sell one's wares in this day and age. Any more questions? Yeah, for a long time I had a thing about bass lines, and whenever I play bass on my music, I pay extreme attention to how it phrases, and I give little, special lines to it to bring out the its personality, and I program slash synthesize the sound to allow it to have that personality, so it's not just a rhythm section instrument. It it has a role to play as well. Yes, Kevin. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I'm gonna wait for a few more seconds. Oh, thanks, Mike Flevin. So kind of you all to be so encouraging with such nice things to say. And I can't wait to do my concerto to record it. Hopefully I can get started on it soon. Um, Thanks, Gary. Oh, what? Thanks, Kevin. Now you're making me blush. Oh dear. I'm not worthy. So, if there are no more questions or compliments, I'm gonna thank you all for spending a day in my 2-week quarantine in Singapore with me. If you have already bought the songs we've listened to or the album Shelley Zenovibes, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know you will enjoy it. Do remember that I do have. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I do have my website. Oh, here's my thank you animated GIF. I do have my website, my SoundCloud site, and of course the YouTube site for more information if you're interested to have more details. But I'll wait for a few more seconds for any comments, because I know we run about 30 seconds to 45 seconds late. I can see that. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Polycon. You might, if you feel up to it, for tomorrow when I do my next live stream where we look at my second album, you could let us know your first name. That way we can call you by your name. Thanks, Kevin. Okay then, y'all. I will see you tomorrow. You have been the bestest of all the best, if there's such a thing. Thanks for keeping me company today. I missed you all, but we shall stay in touch. Come back tomorrow when I share music from my album, Music from Another Land. Oh, hi, Sergey. So tomorrow we look at Music from Another Land, album number 2, which was recorded when I moved to Dallas, Texas. Stay safe. Oh. So we won't see Kevin tomorrow. He won't be able to make it. But otherwise, everyone, I'll see you tomorrow and stay safe till then. Same time, same place. Be good now. Oh, let your friends know. Okay, enjoy my music. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow. Bye.